Greetings, Commanders. This is Commander Atlas Rand. And I'm starting the video with a construction completion message because today we're going to be talking about a cool new app. It's actually an old app, but it's a new part of the app that deals specifically with colonization. So the app in question is called SRV Survey. There's going to be a link to it in the description. I'll drag it over here. See it? It's very unassuming. It's a little tiny gray box that has a few options, but you'll see there's a button here called Colonization. And it has refresh data, my project, local project, and set primary. So what this app does isn't really in this window. You don't have to have this window up at all. In fact, I'll usually have it hidden. But what the app does is it puts overlays on your screen, much like the one you see up here in the upper right corner. And now this is for a just completed station. It says construction site, 0 remains, 0 trips in this ship. But we're going to go through and I will show you what it looks like to set up a new construction site using this app. And what it's going to show you on the screen. So I guess first things first, let me confirm that. And then I can launch out of here. And hopefully... All right, well, I guess I was going to say, hopefully this disappears. But technically, this isn't going to disappear until Thursday. So it's a weekly tick. But we are done with this. I'll show you what we're working with here. So this is the one that just got completed. Fluger Goose Town. I think it's a satellite. Let me see. If I go in here, I can't even tell. I remember there's some way to see what it is, but it isn't easy. And I've got 2 more of these. These are all small, like satellite size constructions. This one I've started, and I'll use that for the demo. And then this one I haven't started, and I'll show you what to do in the app. Now, one other thing that I want to show you guys. That one right there. Okay, there we go. Now you'll be able to see it. So that window, in fact, I can make it full screen. There we go. So what this window has, this is also part of that same app. It has a website called ravencolonial.com that kind of handles the colonization aspects. So you saw that the app itself is pretty nondescript. The window isn't really the main one that you use. It's you'll change some preferences on there, and there's some buttons that you will occasionally click, but for the most part, it can be hidden. So what do? We start here in our home. None of this stuff down here will exist. So we're going to find or start a new project. Okay. First thing to enter is the system you're in. You're going to need to enter that. You hit find. It'll find it on here. And if you hit search, it'll tell you there are no other construction projects that it's aware of. Now, if we close that window, you will see that there is the one we already started, and then there's this one. But it's not finding it in the app. Why is that? Well, we have to fly here first. The first thing I'm going to do is actually fly to that site, because the way that it finds out about it is much like all the other apps for Elite Dangerous. It's going to read the log file. And the log file is going to be created that has that station information in it when you first land there. And it's really, it should happen fairly quickly, but also not quite instantly. So there's a slight delay between when we land and when that becomes available, which is why I'm going there right now with an empty ship, because I'm going to fly here. I'm going to land there. And then, where is it? And then I'm going to fly back to pick up materials And by the time I've picked up the materials, it should be ready to be added to the app. So let's go ahead and fly out here. Go a little quicker. So all three of these installations I built next to the sun. This is sort of my experience from screwing things up previously. Screwing things up because they didn't tell us what the rules were. There is no point in building stations around the sun because they're not going to have any resources to sell. You're going to be basically selling biowaste. So a better use of locations next to the sun are the satellites, communications systems, unmanned things. So let's go ahead and land here. Okay, I'm going to manually fly there so we don't hit the antenna, and then let it take care of the landing portion. I just don't trust it flying there by itself. All right, now you can go ahead and take care of it. That's actually not a bad job of slowing down. All right, so this construction site is called Kudos Folly. I'm going to end up renaming a lot of these later on. This is a system that I've got a T3 station in, and I did a little contest for the top 3, I think is what I said, people that help in that construction get stations with their name on them. I'm actually expanded it to the top 5, so there's going to be 5 stations in the system here that have names of the people that helped build the big T3 station. So we've been here. We have this pop up right here. So now this information will be recorded. Now I'll say this information needs to also be sent to EDDB, which is sort of the central repository for Elite Dangerous data. And if you're running something like Elite Dangerous Market Connector, that will do it. If you don't know what that looks like, it looks like this. This is the Elite Dangerous Market Connector, which is another app. And you can run that app, and it will send data every time you hit a station. This is, by the way, how Inara knows what all the prices are, is because it pulls the data that an app like ED Market Connector sends. The other way to do it is to use something like Elite Dangerous Discovery, which is an app that I've shown off and talked about on here previously as well. I don't think I need to show it you guys because it's basically just it's the all-in-one app. But one of the things it does, it'll also send data. So by landing here like this, we've created a log file that one of these apps will send over. And now we can take off and fly to our carrier because we're going to be picking up materials. So let's get that going. Right there, straight line. And I'll switch back to the app as soon as I accelerate up here. Right here. And now that we've been there, we should be able to hit refresh. And it sees the location. So this is Orbital Construction Site, Kudos Folly. So you click on that. It'll default the name. Now it needs to know, what are you building? So there's no way for it to know what that construction is. Now, that construction, I'm pretty sure, is a space installation, and I put down a satellite, a comms, and an agricultural one. Or sorry, satellite, comms, and relay. So it's one of these 3. I don't remember which one. I'm going to just go with relay because I think they all have very similar ingredients. When you're doing this, I recommend you actually do know which one it is. But let's say it's a relay because I think that's what it is. You hit create. And the sound you hear is just me docking on the other screen. So we're good on that. Don't worry about it. And it's going to say, okay, here's a list of all the ingredients you're going to need. Now enter what the actual numbers are. You can also click this button that says use approximate values, and it'll put sort of what the approximate values are. However, it'll be off by a few. So rather than doing approximate, what we're going to do is close this window. You want to get the exact values. It's very easy to do. You just bring up the local map. You select that installation, which is Kudos Folly. And then you click on the little flag icon on the right. And right there, you will see that we have a list of all the materials. So I'm going to just enter that into the app. So let me go back to the window here. Okay, so I've put all that data in, right? This is coming directly off of the game. You only have to do this once though. So unlike doing this manually in spreadsheets, you don't have to update anything once you've put this in. The app will take care of it for you. You save your commodities. It's going to say it's updated. Now it's showing you the list of current commodities. At this point, you could just start flying back and forth and it'll tell you in an overlay what is still needed for construction. However, beyond that, what's even more interesting is you can add a fleet carrier. So I know my fleet carriers start with Galt. So I'll start with that, and it's found it. I've changed the name since, but once I link, it finds the new name as well. So that's the current name of that ship, of that carrier. And look at all this stuff that just turned green. Now, the reason it turned green, I haven't delivered anything, but it's green because it knows that I have enough of each of these things on the carrier to be able to fly out, pick up, drop off, and all of these will become green. They'll be complete. So the only things I don't have enough of on the carrier are things like semiconductors. I only have one. I need 35. Steel, obviously, I need a whole bunch of steel. I don't have enough of that. Titanium, I don't have enough of that. Water, I don't have any on the carrier, so I'll have to get that. I know where to go for that. And aluminum. But the rest of these I have on the carrier. So what we're going to do is, remember, we already landed on that carrier. Turn that off. Close this. Whoa, that's bright green. We're on the carrier. So now all we're going to do is click on carrier services and go to our commodities market. When we go to our commodities market, you could see on the upper right, and it's probably fairly small for you guys. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. I'm going to need to just zoom in like that. Hopefully that's enough. Okay. Now, as soon as I click back to that screen, there we go. That's a little more zoomed in, guys. Hopefully that's big enough that you can see it. So we're probably, but trust me, in the game, you can read it just fine. You can also change the size of all this stuff, I believe, in the preferences. But what you'll see in here is you can see liquid oxygen, fruits and veggies. I don't have enough. Insulating members. I should have enough. So it's basically telling me the things that are not red, I should have enough. And this is the list of the stuff that I can pick up from the carrier based on what we just entered into the website. So we can start with the smaller stuff like 81 insulating membranes. So go here. I have 82. Amazing. So I'm going to grab all but one. Buy. And you can see that turns green. So it's updated it. Now, what else is small? Power generators. I only need 9. So let's get 9 of those. Boom. Copper, 51. Computer components, 22. Copper, 51. Computer components, 22. So I'm reading all of this right off the screen from the overlay while I'm shopping at my own carrier. But it doesn't have to be at the carrier, obviously. It could be shopping at a station or anywhere else. Computer components, 22. Boom. Okay, you can see these things are turning green. And now we just have some of the big ones plus 2 that I just don't have on the carrier. And it also is telling me that there's a total of 3,000 remaining to deliver. And I've got 4 trips in this ship left to do. So we're going to take off. All right, while this is landing, you can also hit Alt S to show that screen anytime, but it'll normally only automatically pop up when you are in a store. So when you're in a station, when you're opening up the purchase, that will pop up. But if you just want to look at it for reference, you can always hit Alt S, and you could change that. That's by default. So I should probably grab like liquid oxygen if I have liquid oxygen, or titanium, either one of those two. So that any of those will work. So let's go to commodity market. And you can see that popped up automatically by itself. And yeah, we got plenty of liquid oxygen. We need 606. Got room for 620, so we'll fill that one in. 606. So there's the app. So you can see it's showing that in the green is stuff that we're going to be able to bring there right now. And then the red are things that we're going to need to get there on the next trip, or, you know, go source, go find them if they're not on the carrier currently. Okay, so let me get rid of that. Oh, get rid of that. Okay, and then let me get rid of the zoom in. There's a normal view. There we go. Pop out of warp here. Let's go park. And then again, you'll see how it's updating the stats as we're unloading. The cool part about this app is twofold. One is anytime you park to buy stuff, it shows you what you need. And two is you never have to manually, okay, good, we're right here. You never have to manually, like, come on, slow down, slow down, slow down. There we go. To type in any numbers to subtract things. It's going to do it automatically. So once we dock, in fact, I'll put in the zoomed in view right away, because that's where it's going to pop up. You'll see it up there. So we're landing. Okay, now I'm going to open up the construction services menu. And it's telling me all the stuff that I already have on board. So I hit transfer all. That'll move it from the ship to the station. And you can see it's now shrunk that list to a much smaller one. We only have 4 items left that we need to get here. Although the station is at only 31%. So those 4 items represent a large percentage of this. It's not a station, right? It's a facility. It's a non-user landable facility. But you can see how that's useful. Now, if I go back out to the full view, you can see it matches, it corresponds to what we have here as far as what is left to bring. Now, let me go back to this thing. So this is the website. Now, if I hit refresh, it should update. Yep, there we go. It updated. So a bunch of more materials are now crossed out, which means they're fully delivered. This tells me that their current quantities on the carrier. So I still have plenty of steel, for example, on the carrier, but all the steel that's needed here has already been delivered. So that is quite useful. It's telling me I need titanium. And I have more than enough on the carrier. I need water purifiers. I have more than enough on the carrier. And I have aluminum that I need, which I do not have any on the carrier at all. Okay. So going back to here, to the main view, what I'm going to do, I could fly back to the carrier, but we just came from the carrier. You guys saw how this works. So now I'm going to fly to a station to buy aluminum. And I know that there's aluminum literally next door to me. Right over here. Let me just confirm that it's the right one. Yeah. So right here, come on. Right here, there's going to be aluminum for sale. So I just need to jump there. And we'll pick up a load of aluminum there. And once again, you'll see how the app will show what we need. And I can manually pop it up by doing this. If I forgot, what are we buying there again? All right. So at this point, we are going into the station here to go pick up some aluminum. And we can actually get titanium here as well. Now, I have titanium on the carrier in the other system. I don't have aluminum, so I'm going to pick up aluminum here. But obviously I could pick up anything that's available. Why did that not work? There we go. Super Cruise. And we can go a little quicker than that. Do the old Super Cruise assist higher speed trick. Which pulls us out perfectly. Look at that. Whoa, 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 whoa. The hell was that? Autopilot. Hello. I swear to God, guys, I don't know when you're watching this video, but as of the time of the recording, they've really made the auto docking be way worse than it used to be. It was never great. It's just constantly taking damage now. It was never great, but it was never this bad at landing. It historically has been fairly good at not taking damage. That's why you'd use it in the first place rather than flying manually, is that you wouldn't have to deal with damage. But no, now it's does not really care about your ship. Okay, we're gonna buy what was it, aluminum here, I think. So community markets. And you can see, again, let me zoom in here, right there. And then go back in here so you'll see it. So there is the stuff that's available. Now it's saying this station doesn't have fruits, doesn't have water purifiers, but it has the other items, aluminum and titanium. We'll go ahead and grab the aluminum right now. And we'll get a full load of it because we need that much anyway. Boom. Come on. Purchase. All right. And you see it's blue now, so it's in our hold. Let's get out. Exit. Launch. And then we're going to jump back to the system where I'm building this. At this point, it's just rinse and repeat. It's doing the same thing over and over. The main things I want to show you guys is that this will automatically update your purchases of material, and it'll automatically update your deliveries of the material. And let's go ahead and land there. And that means you no longer have to have a spreadsheet open, which is what most people have been doing, just using Google Docs or Excel or something, and then manually updating after every trip. How much did I bring? How much did I drop off? What's left? Have the spreadsheet calculate that for you. So So this is doing all of that in the background via this app, which is, again, I'll pull it out on the screen. You can see it's very nondescript, called SRV Survey. What this app actually does, like the main function of this app, because obviously colonization is kind of a recent addition. What this does is it was made to help people in driving the SRVs by showing a map of locations at Guardian sites, and then also whenever you're driving an SRV to go scan for exobiology. And it does all that. And in fact, you see on the left side right here where my cursor is, this is another overlay from that same app that just turned off, which is showing that this system contains 2 scannable biologicals. So it does a number of things, but it does it mostly via overlays, and for the colonization via overlays and the website, and it's all integrated together through this app. Now, I'm suggesting to the author, who I spent a good 2 hours talking to yesterday, and kind of walking through with me on what it does and how best to use it, and me giving him some feedback and suggestions. One of my suggestions, and let him know if you agree with me, is that the app does an awful lot, and so the name SRV Survey doesn't really tell the full story. And in fact, I was telling him yesterday that I probably have seen this app in the past, and I never bothered downloading it because I don't like to drive SRVs. I like to stay in my spaceship as much as possible. And so an app specifically for SRVs would not be something I would download. But now that I've downloaded it and realized just how much it does, it's huge. Okay, so we just landed. Let's go ahead and once again, I will zoom in on this. I'll go to construction services. I will drop off the aluminum, or aluminium as it's called in the game. Confirm. That bumps us to 42% progress, and there it is. Now it just updated it. It says we need 579 aluminum left. And if I look at the website, and then again, you will have to manually, now you don't have to do refreshes on this every time, but if you want to see the difference immediately, then you do have to click on refresh, because that just will update the numbers for you. Now it does track some other things as well, like my total progress can be seen in here. It's going to track the amount of deliveries that I've made. It shows my carrier that is linked, and that carrier is listed right here. You can add multiple carriers. So if you've got multiple people working on this, you can have all the carriers included in this, and it'll use what's on each of those carriers to tell you whether something's green, meaning it's available on the carrier already, or whether something needs to go get purchased elsewhere, which is going to be like this orange thing right here. You can add other commanders, and it'll track their progress. So it's actually pretty good at figuring out who did how much work. So play around with it, grab it. I think it's super handy. It is still a beta, just like the whole of colonization itself. Things are still changing. But right now, this is the only thing that I found that will automatically update whenever you do a purchase and whenever you do a sale of a material to the building site. Everything else, there are a few other tools that exist, but they all require a lot more manual typing of numbers. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the video. Obviously, the link for this is in the description, guys. Go ahead and grab it. Do keep in mind that there will be more updates coming. It is a beta. And also, you may need to just unzip it and run it rather than running the installer, because right now, for some people, it seems to be it's working fine. For other people, there's an issue with the installer not actually finishing the installation. But the way I'm running it right now is literally just I unzipped it to a folder, double-clicked on the name of the app, and the app is working fine. So give it a little bit of a test, see what you think. I think it makes all of this construction stuff a lot easier, especially when you're dealing with multiple carriers and multiple people working on the same construction item. Check out the link in the description, and we'll catch you on the next video.